Fife Property Market Update. Now, this is where we take a look at everything that was taking place on the market last week for the 7th to the 13th. We'll then do a run through of what we were doing in particular as an agency, so you can see what activity is still taking place, because people think that now is far too quiet for selling property, buying property. But that's where this show is fantastic, because we just deal with the facts, black and white. What are the numbers telling us? And you might just be surprised. And then we will do a run through of the shows that have taken place, so you can see what to go back and rewatch. But this is just for last week alone. What I will say is, for anybody that is really serious about understanding whether you are buying, selling, or just curious in the Fife marketplace, go back and watch last week's show, because I actually did the roundup for the month of November. And actually, the figures are very, very telling. What I will say off the top of my head is there was 423 properties that sold in the month of November just in Fife, versus 389 that went to market. So there was more properties sold than actually what was put to market in the month of November. So when people say, oh, now's not the right time to sell, or my friends or family have told me to just wait till next year, absolutely not. Now, I do discuss that in a lot more detail in last week's show, so do take the time to go back and rewatch that. But like I always say as well, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, or if you perhaps just want to speak to a member of the team, reach out to us. We are more than happy to have a wee chat with you. But we're going to look at just last week's figures. Now, naturally, there is a decrease in the numbers. Obviously, the transactions are less, but what we're saying here is, as a seller, there is a lot more properties selling than what's coming to the market, so you have a lot less competition. But actually, the activity for last week alone, there was 57 properties that were new to the market versus 81 properties accepting offers. So you can see that there was 81 buyers in the market last week alone in Fife. The micro regions break down and give you an insight into where obviously they are, but 57 new instructions. So yes, there are properties still coming to market, but there is a lot less. So if you are thinking of selling, now is the time to go, because you've got a lot less competition. And the numbers there tell you that there are still people on the marketplace looking for their next home. And it's right across the micro regions as well. I mean, strong numbers for Cooper being 8 and 7, because when you think about it, that is roughly not far off what they do on a kind of average week anyway. That's what we've been seeing. So there's not been a massive decrease in the KY 1415 postcode. There has been a slight decrease in the East Snook with the KY 10 postcode, with only one new property instructed versus 3 properties sold. So it is still good to see, though, that there was still 3 properties that sold in the East Snook last week. Because again, because of the kind of demographic and the location, people think, oh, it's out of season, it's not going to go, there's not going to be property selling. But 3 just last week alone. And again, that's not a drastically low number to what we normally see. St Andrews 4 versus 4. Still great to see that there was activity happening in the KY16 postcode. I think it was 2 shows prior, I did a really big emphasis on St Andrews in the KY16 marketplace. So again, if you are specifically interested in the KY16 postcode, go back and watch a show from 2 weeks ago, and I give you a lot of information in there. Likewise, reach out to us. More than happy to have that direct chat with you. Leavenmouth 2 and 3, a lot less in the Leavenmouth area. However, we do always say 1 week doesn't make a trend. There was still activity there. It's just less than what we normally see. Dunfermline, this is where there is a massive decrease. Those that are a regular to this show, or perhaps keep an eye on the marketplace, Dunfermline kind of postcode tends to float around your 50s to 60s for transaction numbers. So actually, only to be 19 is a lot less instructions in the Dunfermline area. However, there was still 35 properties sold, because they do have so much stock on the market, purely just because of its proximity to the bigger cities and you commute in. People tend to gravitate towards Dunfermline for slightly more property for less money than they would do if they were just crossing over that bridge. But obviously, it kind of performs in itself. Dunfermline is its own little marketplace. Glenrothes, again, there's been a drop there with only 5 versus 8. Normally, it is in the double figures. What I will say is this is just resale homes only. This is nothing to do with new builds. However, last week, there was 2 new builds made available in the Glenrothes postcode. Now with new builds, we don't see when they have exchanged or had offers accepted, but we do know when they have put a new instruction available. So that obviously would add an extra 2 to that. Now, Kirkcaldy, you have 18 versus 21. And actually for Kirkcaldy, that's average kind of numbers. That's what we do tend to see. So there's not been a massive impact on the KY1 postcode. As a whole, you can see that there's a lot more buyers in the marketplace last week than there was new instructions. But as I say, really do go back and look at last week's show because that gives you a fantastic insight. Because we do say 1 week doesn't make a trend. So to get that monthly roundup and see where obviously the activity is kind of more dominant is absolutely fantastic. So that's what was happening in the marketplace just last week across Fife, all agencies that use Rightmove. Now, what we will do is we will take a look at what we were doing in particular as an agency last week to give you an insight into properties that have accepted offers, what we have coming soon, and also what has completed. So you can see what people are offering on properties because we can now disclose that, and also what is obviously kind of popular. But we'll start with what we sold last week. So there was just the one last week, and it was in Newber actually. Now you should see it up on your screen in just a second. There we go. So this is the property that we sold last week. So it was Sweary, and it is, for those that don't know, it's actually as you're heading out of Newborough towards kind of Perth direction. There's then to your left, there's a real steep incline over the railway bridge, and it's just up there. And this was a flat. Now, it was a fantastic opportunity to add value with this one. So somebody going in there knows that they'll be able to add instant value, put their own stamp on it, and really make it their own. But actually, this is your living room here. I don't know if you can see the mouse. This is your living room, and this is your kitchen. But actually, from your living room, you have got uninterrupted panoramic views, just amazing. And those views are going nowhere because obviously the way that you're elevated, those views are going absolutely nowhere. So you are through this door here. It was an upper flat. There was garden space. That was your own private garden space as well. So you didn't have to share part of your garden. But as I say, fantastic opportunity to go in and add value. So the new buyers are delighted that they've been able to secure that. Likewise, the sellers are delighted that that is over the line. So that is what we have sold last week. Now we will take a look at what we have got coming soon. So properties that are over the line and, properties that we have been out to value and are coming to market with us. So Perry and I have been outvalued the properties and they're going to be at pre-portal stage. So this is your sneak peek and your little insight before they actually get to that stage. Now, for those that aren't aware what a pre-portal is, it is a full preview of a property. So you're looking on the social media pages, you'll see the words pre-portal, you'll see the agent space, and it's a full video walkthrough. What that allows you to do is see the full property, all of its features. We also disclose to you if there's any kind of developments that you could perhaps make or improvements. We then talk to you about the location and exactly where you're situated and what's close by for you. We then at the very end, and this is the key, the very end, tell you the price point. Some people get impatient and just can't wait because they're that excited. But honestly, if you list to the very end, we always tell you the price point. Then if it's a property that ticks all your boxes and it is something that you are like, that is my next home, you need to act fast. And if you can make our seller an offer that they just cannot refuse before it does go to your Rightmove, your Zoopla, and your S1 Homes, then do it. Act fast. This is the key. When you see that pre-portal, you have a short window of time to get in there and potentially secure this property before anybody else. But the key is to make an attractive, your no regrets offer to secure that home. Now, these pre-portals are always on our social media channels. Now, we have a Facebook page for every micro region in Fife that we cover. So wherever you're looking to purchase a property, make sure you're following that relevant page. When you see that pre-portal, you know it's in the location that you're looking for. If it's within your price point and it's something that ticks your boxes, act fast. You do not want to miss out on this home. Now, obviously, if you have any questions on that and you want us to discuss it in more detail, again, reach out. We're more than happy to have that conversation and guide you through that process and let you understand what that pre-portal looks like and what you can do to perhaps get yourself pre-portal ready. But that is a pre-portal, so keep a lookout. So this is what we've got coming soon. One of them actually went on this morning. So actually, if you head to the East Nuke page, I have just put a pre-portal on this morning, and it's West End in St Monans. This particular property is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom terrace townhouse split over 3 levels. You've got 1 level living, you've got a master with an ensuite, you've got an open plan kitchen dining space, you've got an additional utility, and then on the very top level is your lounge, bay window, view over the rooftop, right across the sea views. It is just fantastic. Moving condition, ready to go. So there's nothing that you need to do to it. You can just move in and start enjoying the home and exactly where it's situated. So West End, you're just tucked, so you have got that bit of a buffer from the sea while still getting those sea views. You've got the Craig Miller restaurant, you've got the harbour, you've got the Fife Coastal Path, there's the little community garden area, you've got the Welly Garden, you've got Giddy Gannet, you've got the smokehouse, you've got the newly opened St Monans Harbour Shop. So there's everything on your doorstep while getting this fantastic property. But the pre-portal went on the East Nuke page this morning, so do keep a lookout. And price point is 275 for it, so it's on for offers over 275. Next one is Crawford Gardens in St Andrews. Now, I am scheduled to do the pre-portal on Friday for this one, so keep a lookout on the St Andrews page and you will see that. This particular property is a 4-bedroom detached home. It's just all been newly renovated. So not a thing that you need to do, just literally unlock that door, walk in, and you are good to go because it has had everything done to it. It's a big footprint of property as well, while still having driveway, garden space, but it is just amazing. Crawford Gardens, you're literally just around the corner from your Morrisons, from the hospital. You've got a bus station, the bus stop close by, so it's a fantastic location as well. And then obviously it is a beautifully presented property, so you do not want to miss out if you're perhaps looking for your next family home in the KY16 postcode. Crawford Gardens is coming. Then we have finally Canella Place in Thornton. So this particular property is a 3-bedroom detached bungalow. Now this is on a sought after development. They are beautifully presented homes. It's in like the Lock to View Meadows kind of development, just off the A92. So fantastic for commuting. And they are beautifully presented homes. Bungalow as well. We know they are like hen's teeth. They are sought after. So you want to act quick for this one. Now, Perry will be doing the pre-portal for this one, I believe next week. So again, you don't have to wait long. And obviously, if it's something that ticks your boxes, you could have potentially secured it before obviously Christmas. So keep a lookout for the pre-portal happening next week for that one. So that is what we have got coming soon. And let's round up with what we have completed. So these are now over the line and they are inside enjoying their new homes just in time for Christmas, but we can disclose what they went for. So the first one was Pickford Crescent. We've had some great success on Pickford Crescent, so it's great to see that this one went over the line and it didn't actually take that long. So this one is a 4-bedroom, 2-reception, 2-bathroom extended property. And as you drive into Pickford Crescent, you took a right, so it meant that you were right on those sea views from the bedrooms, from the living room, because they had bifolds, they had panoramic sea views, and they were just incredible. Beautifully presented property, modern interiors. Even though it had been extended, you still had an extensive driveway and a beautiful garden, and it was just a fantastic family home. Now, this property sold for 390,000. Owners were absolutely delighted. And actually, the people selling that went on to purchase from us, so we were able to manage that chain and keep it going nice and smoothly. The next one was Centenary Court in Leven, slightly different location. This was a 2-bedroom, 2-reception, mid-terrace extended property in a sought-after location. And it is a fantastic property that appealed to so much of the market, whether it be first-time buyer, investor, landlord. And this sold for 93,000. So a great price point as well, and that's why these properties are popular. Likewise, when you're listening to this, if you have anything like these homes and you are looking to get a move on, then reach out to us. If you still think that you need to wait till next year to get sold, absolutely not. And that's our job to educate you and give you that insight. But there is people that missed out on these homes, so do reach out to us. And then finally, this one was incredible, was Peter Howlin in Anstruther. This one was a 4-bedroom detached family home. It was immaculate. Like, it was, when that door opened, it was wow factor. In fact, even before the door opened, as soon as you pulled onto the street, you know which one this is. It was stunning. It was a immaculately presented, not a it was like show home condition, but more. It was just stunning. The new owners are absolutely delighted with the home. I did the viewing with them, and as soon as they walked in, they knew that that's what they wanted their next home to be. It was stunning. So it's great to see that it's gone through that. We helped them sell their property, we managed all the chain, and they've ended up with exactly the home that they wanted. Likewise, the seller is delighted because actually it got 27 and a half over home report value. So 27,500 over that home report value, which was a fantastic result because it was on the market for 400,000. So they got an extra 27,500 over that home report value, and it went through quickly. They secured that buyer quickly, locked them in, and then we just managed that chain. But honestly, beautiful property. So that is the properties that we have concluded on, completed, gone through the line, and that is the activity that we were doing last week in our agency. Now, before we round up the show, let's take a look at what shows were taking place so you can see what to go back and rewatch. So, as always, on a Monday, you have Jim Parker, one of the UK's most successful property investors, and Richard Cook, the lettings director, on hand discussing a topic each week as part of the Wealth Creation Show. Now, yesterday's show was the psychology of money, and doing well with money has little to do with actually how smart you are and a lot more to do with how you behave and your behaviors. And that is what is hard to teach. A behavior is so hard to teach. We all do some unexpected things with money, mainly because the whole game is still somewhat new to us, perhaps. What might look a bit zany to you, you could actually make total sense to somebody else. Now, we also make decisions that are influenced by perhaps others or our unique experiences, and that might seem perfectly logical. However, if you are interested in managing your finances or simply looking at a better way to understand it and how money works and how it could actually work for you, fantastic show, especially as I say, having one of the UK's most successful property investors on hand discussing that topic. Yes, it was live yesterday, but you can still always comment. You can watch the rerun and they will come back to you if you have any questions, queries, or maybe some of your own little smart tips that have got you success. Put them in there. We always love to hear from you. Another show that took place was the show that Perry and I did. So this was a upgrading to sell 5 home improvements with big payoffs. So it's small things with maximum rewards. And if you want to boost your sale price and increase your buying power for your next move, finding ways to add value to your home is a super smart idea. From a purely financial perspective, upgrading to sell means focusing on improvements that turn your home into that almost magnet for the buyers. It's all about meeting demand. And that is what Perry and I on hand discussed. The link will be here for you to go back and rewatch. Likewise, again, if you have any of your own hints and tips, or if you perhaps need help, or you want an agent to come out, walk through with you, and you can talk them through your home, let them see it, and we can guide you on what would add value, what's quick wins for you, what perhaps isn't within your best interest, reach out to us. That is what we're here for. But that is the shows that have taken place. So that is us for another week, and we are so close to Christmas, but you still will have a show next Tuesday. So I will still be live next Tuesday to do another market update with you. But obviously, in the meantime, if there's anything we can help with, reach out to us. But failing that, I will see you next Tuesday for another market update. All the best. Take care.